on Australia's business channel. This is Media Week.
Hello, thanks for joining us on Media Week. Well, since the Australian Radio Network rebranded Kiss FM and signed Carl and Jackie O, ARN has been in the spotlight for leading the radio ratings in the 4 metro markets in which it operates. In the latest survey out this week, we did see Carl and Jackie O's ratings fall from that #1 FM spot for the first time in 53 radio ratings surveys, but their ARN stablemates, Jonesy and Amanda, moved into first place. Well, to tell us more about all of this, we're joined on the show by Duncan Campbell, National Content Director, Australian Radio Network, and also, of course, our co-host James Manning, Editor and Publisher of Media Week. Duncan, thank you so much for joining us. Just firstly, on the results there, I mean, we did see Carl and Jackie O slip back. Are you worried at all about that?
Not at all. I mean, they're still ahead of where they were in the first survey. And we saw 2 very strong surging results in surveys 1 and 2. So, you know, the results do tend to ebb and flow over time, and they're still very strong in the key demographics they need to be, and also a very strong #2 breakfast with a 9.5 share. So we're not concerned at all.
Duncan, we had your boss, Kieran Davis, on the show earlier after Survey 1. He was saying, look, we're right on our business plan, doing very well. We're nearly halfway through the year. Surely you must be a little bit further ahead of where you thought you might be, or?
Yeah, no, we are, to be honest. We sort of had modelled the year, and we were sort of expecting these sort of results, probably sort of 4 and 5, probably the latter part of the year. So we're encouraged by where we currently sit, and now the challenge is to maintain that and certainly try and sustain that through the remainder of 2014.
Yeah.
It was interesting, wasn't it? Because I mean, just on sort of Kyle and Jackie O as well. I mean, they handed over to another ARN stablemate in Jonesy and Amanda there. I mean, what's your sense? I mean, can the story get any better? I mean, you've got the top 2 in Sydney and Melbourne, and the top 1 in both Brisbane and Adelaide as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, sort of Kyle and Jackie O were the tipping point, but you know, we've had a very sort of well researched and strategy which we've been implementing over the last sort of 3 to 4 years. Very strong in Brisbane. Certainly most of the time #1 there with 97.3. Mix 102.3 in Adelaide, also very strong. Gold 104 had a great year last year, very strong. So we're not surprised that station's #1 FM in Melbourne. And obviously Kyle and Jack were the tipping point for Sydney. And we've invested a lot of time and sort of money rebranding the old classic hit stations into pure gold, and they've been marketed, and I think we're seeing the benefit of that in terms of audience growth. So we're certainly very happy where we are, and as I said before, the challenge is to try and sustain that now.
Outdoor advertising, you really seem to have done very well out of the campaigns you're being run. I mean, how much of the survey result do you think is part of that, what you've done there? I mean, media companies are big users of outdoor in general, but you really seem to have taken it to a new level.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, we were surprised when we did the research into WS just how low the awareness level of the station was. So after we rebranded, we've obviously utilised outdoor and also television, you know, very effectively. And I think with when it comes to radio, keeping those brands front of mind, outdoor does a great job in doing that, in terms of just reminding people of the station and the frequency and sort of the music proposition as well.
As the content boss, I mean, how closely do you work with the commercial teams? We saw Kyle and Jackie O, the trip to Dubai, obviously delivers great content, but on a commercial level as well. How did it feel?
Yeah, I mean, you know, ARN's it's a small company by comparison, and we all work very closely. You know, it's obviously a very commercially driven company, as most of them are. So we work very closely with the commercial teams, and we found none of the sort of issues that people have been talking about with Kyle and Jackie O are sort of within our organisation. We treat the sort of relationship we have with those 2 as more of a partnership. They support us in what we're trying to do commercially, and in return, obviously, we support them as well.
You've mentioned the success you've been having already with 97.3 and 102.3 Brisbane and Adelaide, but you look at your overall success this year and it does seem like there was a national strategy, or was it really just market by market and it's all come together at once? No,
I mean, there has been a well-researched strategy. I wish I could say there was sort of we waved a magic wand and it all sort of happened, but you know, we're
going to get to them. There must be some magic in it. Sure.
Well, I'm a big believer in sort of the radio fundamentals, and you know, programming and building these stations are based on sort of some real key fundamentals. We've well researched the markets. We put in place some very strong talent. I mean, Christy Swan, Jane Hall in Melbourne, obviously Bridge and Limo at Gold. We had Jones and Amanda at WSFM, and and we sort of brought in Kyle and Jackie O as well. So, you know, the talent is there, the content is now strong, and we're also marketing our stations more effectively. So a combination of those three gets you the results you want.
Just in terms, I guess, of the outlook as well, in terms of, the market, given what we've seen post-budget, obviously you focus on content, but do you get the sense that, things are going to get a little better in 2015?
Just generally?
Yeah.
I think we were seeing a lot of optimism in the market in terms of where the money was being placed and sort of the advertisers migrating sort of towards ARN. We had a very strong May in terms of the sort of avails and the fills, and that continues into June. So from our point of view, confidence is high, and we're fairly buoyant about the remainder of the year for us. So
it'd be good to talk. If you could talk with us as well through the latest results. James, too, obviously we've seen in Sydney there, so 2GB, #1 spot, but WSFM, Top FM and KISS.
Yeah, Nova, then Triple M and Smooth in the rest there. Look, I'm dying to ask you this one. 2GB, a decade at #1. They say they don't get the love that they deserve from advertisers. I guess you'd be thinking, well, that's their problem if they can't maximise being #1 for a decade.
Well, I mean, I think we're all...
Do you have a bit of sympathy for that?
I do have a bit of sympathy for them, actually. I mean, it's a very strong radio station, some major sort of talk personalities on 2GB. And, full credit to them, actually. I mean, we're all in the same business at the end of the day, so credit where credit's due.
So you just like to see more advertisers in general coming to radio?
Absolutely.
You can get the most of them, hopefully, and then
I think
the others.
The one key thing that Kyle and Jack has done, and I think the sort of the market dynamics around the country, and also sort of the success of the likes of 2GB, is people are now talking about radio more than ever before. So, and that for our industry can only be a positive thing.
And just quickly on that, speaking to Alan Jones earlier this week, we asked him about his contract. He said he signed a new 22-year contract. I'm sure he was joking, but Duncan, what's the longest contract you've ever signed with anybody?
Would it go close? 3 years.
3 years.
No, it wouldn't go close to the 22 years.
Okay.
Just coming back to Melbourne then, 3AW.
Yeah, look, 3AW again, dominating, similar position to GB. It's long time on top down there. Gold and Mix, again, both your stations. Four-way tie for fourth spot. You've got Fox, Nova, Triple M and Smooth, so it's a really close market.
Yeah, Melbourne's in a real state of flux at the moment. I mean, they lost, in terms of the FM market, we lost 2 heritage breakfast shows on Fox and Nova. So we expected to see this sort of churn sort of early on in the year, but now it's coming sort of surveys 2 and 3. So it's a very tight market, and that's going to be interesting to see how that sort of unfolds the rest of the year.
Sure. Yeah.
In Brisbane, Nova #2, B105, 10.6. We had 97.3, #1 there, nearly 14% in the latest.
Yeah, again, you've had a fair bit of success up there. A little bit of bump for Triple M up there, which is interesting. And your competitors, Southern Cross Austereo, I think 9 of their 10 stations actually had up books this survey, but some of them were coming off a pretty low base. But you're not about to underestimate their abilities? No,
our whole philosophy is never underestimate the competition, and we've had certainly in Brisbane a great sort of two-way battle with Nova up there. 97.3 sort of is sometimes perceived as an older station, but it's very, very strong, 25-54. So that battle will continue as well. And as you say, I mean, the Triple M's had a fairly good round right around the country. They're putting a lot of work into those stations, as they are in the Today stations as well. So radio at the moment has never been more competitive, which is, as I said before, a good thing for the industry.
Yeah.
On Adelaide as well, Mix 16.7% there, so clearly... Yeah,
well ahead. Nova now the #2 station. Used to be 5AA. They sort of swap spots. 5AA is still very strong in breakfast. Triple M and Cruise. Now Triple M's the interesting one, isn't it? They have changed the format, brought in a new breakfast show. But what happens? The last survey before the changes, ship rises. It happens to everybody. It must have happened to you.
It does
you make that big call to change, and then you get up. But it's too late, isn't it?
Well, they've obviously made the call based on the research they've been doing. So they've obviously made it for, I assume, the right reasons. So. But it's a bit of bad luck when the station surges ahead after a week after a format.
The classic rock format down there, could it take any of your male listeners away from Mix?
Look, we defend very well against the males. We have done in the past when Triple M has moved. Mix 102.3 is very strong radio station, heritage station in the market. A good, solid breakfast show. So, look, I mean, as Craig Bruce said last time, they had to do something in Adelaide, and So how that plays out, we'll wait and see. But we're very confident we can maintain the dominance down there.
And just finally, James, Perth as well.
Yeah, look, Mix, it takes a lot to unseat Mix in that market. You're not a player there, mate, so you can speak very frankly about Perth. But, yeah, 96 is an interesting one, isn't it? A little bit up and down, but it's not in a bad spot. It's got some demos, a little bit male skewed down there, isn't it?
They've had to really flank the market, and they've done a very good job with it. Brad McNally's the content director over there. And, obviously it is male skew. They need to be. Mix 94.5 is very sort of dominant females. And you've got the two younger CHRs in 92.9 and Nova. So they've found their place in the market, and they, as you say, they go up and down a bit, but they've had a successful run.
And good to see Mix hasn't missed a beat without Fred Bodica going out at breakfast. They seem to have filled that spot very well. Mate, the brand is bigger than the personality. Well,
it was a clever transition. I mean, the Drive Show was, Dean Clares has been in Perth radio for a long time. I used to work with him there back in the 90s. He's a great operator, and that team's moved into breakfast, and it was you'd have to agree, a successful transition for them. So, yeah.
Just on a final note, and not to end on a down note, but I mean, obviously over the past couple of years we have seen a number of controversies when it comes to content on FM radio, the prank call. Obviously, Cole himself's been in hot water over some comments he's made. What do you think the industry's learned from that, the FM stations?
I think there are some boundaries, and everyone's now operating within those boundaries. And the shows like the Kyle and Jackie O show will always push the boundaries to some degree. But I think the show has evolved, and I think Kyle and Jackie O have evolved as well. And the content continues to be fun, and it continues to be slightly edgy at times. But I mean, we know the boundaries, and the show doesn't cross those.
It's been great to hear from you about all of that. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Duncan Campbell, there, National Content Director at ARM. We're going to take a quick break here on Media Week. Coming up, Isentia makes its debut on the share market. All the details next.